When you protect their peace without asking for credit, you embody one of the deepest principles of Stoic love and strength. A man's worth is not shown in how loud he can shout about his love, but in how silently he preserves the calm around the person he values. It is easy to speak of love, to say I would do anything for you, but it is far harder to actually step into the storms of life and shield another from unnecessary chaos. To protect someone's peace is not always about grand gestures. It is often about restraint, about holding back your own anger, about not adding to the fire when emotions already run high, about choosing calm when everything inside you is tempted to react. Peace is fragile, and when you become the guardian of it, you silently show that your loved one matters more than your pride. Protection does not always mean fighting battles on their behalf. Sometimes it is about creating an environment where they feel safe enough to breathe, safe enough to rest, safe enough to trust that with you, they are not walking into constant storms. You do not need to declare that you are their shield. You simply become it. You take responsibility for what is within your control. You guard the atmosphere of your home. You protect their energy from unnecessary negativity. You refuse to be the source of stress in their life, even if the world outside is full of it. In this way, you show that your love is not only about passion, but about discipline. The Stoics believe that the highest virtue is self-mastery, and nowhere does this appear more clearly than in how you protect the peace of the one you love. If you cannot master your emotions, you cannot guard theirs. If you cannot steady yourself, you cannot offer stability. By protecting their peace, you show them that you are not ruled by impulse, that you are not a slave to anger or recklessness, but rather a man who chooses calm over chaos. And you do this without the need to boast, because true worth requires no advertisement. There will be moments when you will be tempted to point out the sacrifices you've made, to remind them of all the times you've held back for their sake, to make sure they see the effort you put into preserving their peace. But the Stoic way is silent strength. It does not seek validation, because the act itself is the reward. When you protect their peace without demanding gratitude, you elevate yourself above the need for applause. You are not serving your ego, you are serving love. And though they may not always notice in the moment, over time, they will feel it. They will come to see you as their anchor, their constant, their safe ground in a restless world. And in that silence, in that steady protection, your worth becomes undeniable and unshakable. When you keep your promises, especially the small ones, you reveal a quality of character that is rare in this world. So many people are quick to speak, quick to make declarations, quick to offer their word as if it were nothing more than air. But a Stoic understands that words are not decorations, they are bonds. Every promise, no matter how small, is a test of your integrity. If you say you will do something, you do it. If you tell your loved one that you will be there, you show up, even if it is inconvenient, even if it demands effort. Because the weight of your word is the foundation of trust, and without trust, love cannot survive. It is easy to keep the promises that bring applause, the ones that make you look noble in the eyes of others. But the true test of a man is in the small, quiet promises, the ones no one else will see or praise. If you say you will call, you call. If you say you will handle something, you handle it. If you say you will stand beside them, you do not disappear when it becomes difficult. These seemingly small acts are the silent bricks that build the fortress of security around your relationship. And every time you honor them, your worth grows stronger in the eyes of your loved one. The danger of breaking even the smallest promises is that it plants a seed of doubt. When you fail to follow through, even on something minor, you silently tell them that your word cannot be fully trusted. You may not realize the impact, but every broken promise chips away at the foundation of certainty they have in you. And once that foundation begins to crack, it becomes harder and harder to repair. But when you keep promises consistently, when you make your word reliable, you create a sense of stability that nothing can shake. They know that if you said it, it will happen. They know that you are not just someone who speaks, but someone who lives what he speaks. Stoicism teaches us to act with virtue for its own sake, not for praise, not for recognition, not for reward. The same applies here. You do not keep promises to be thanked. You do it because it reflects who you are. A man who honors his word, even when it costs him, proves that his values are not negotiable. And in love, this silent consistency speaks louder than any declaration of devotion. Your loved one does not need endless reassurances when your actions are proof enough. They do not need to wonder where you stand, because your reliability makes the answer clear without a single word. So when you keep your promises, especially the small ones, you separate yourself from the crowd of those who talk but do not act. You show that your love is not a performance, but a discipline. You show that your worth is not in what you say, but in what you live. And in this quiet loyalty to your own word, you demonstrate the kind of strength that endures beyond any passing moment of passion or charm. When emotions burn hot, but self-mastery, that is rare, that is powerful, that is the mark of a man whose worth cannot be shaken by impulse. Stoicism teaches that you cannot control what others do or say, but you can always control how you respond. And in love, this truth becomes more vital than ever, because your loved one will not always speak perfectly. They will not always act with care. There will be moments of tension, of misunderstanding, of pain. In these moments, your reactions either preserve the relationship or destroy it. A raised voice can cut deeper than a sword. A reckless word spoken in anger can leave a scar that lingers long after the fight is over. But restraint, choosing silence instead of shouting, choosing patience instead of rage, this builds safety. When you hold back the storm inside you, you show your loved one that they are not at risk of being crushed by your emotions. You prove that you are not a slave to your impulses, but a master of them. And this mastery is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is strength, because it takes far more power to remain calm than to explode. Imagine the impact on your loved one when they see that even in moments of conflict, you remain steady. You do not mirror anger with anger. You do not fuel fire with fire. Instead, you take a breath, you pause, you measure your words carefully. You remind yourself that no moment of rage is worth damaging the bond you've built. This level of discipline makes you a pillar, someone they can lean on, someone they can trust not to shatter the peace of their life because of a passing emotion. And yet, controlling your reactions does not mean suppressing your feelings or pretending they don't exist. It means choosing the right way to express them. It means finding strength and composure, choosing clarity over chaos. You can still speak your truth, still express your pain, but you do so with control, not destruction. This balance is what separates the common from the uncommon. Most people justify their outbursts, claiming they had no choice, but a Stoic knows there is always a choice. The choice is between being ruled by passion or being guided by reason. When your loved one sees that you can be hurt without lashing out, that you can be disappointed without abandoning respect, that you can be angry without being cruel, they recognize your true worth, because it shows that your love is deeper than ego, stronger than pride, greater than momentary emotion. They will see you not as unpredictable, not as dangerous, but as safe, steady, unshakable. And that quiet restraint, that silent mastery, speaks louder than any argument or apology ever could. When you support their growth without overshadowing them, you show a kind of love that is selfless, steady, and rooted in strength. Too many people mistake love for control. They want to shape their partner into what suits them. They want to stand taller. By keeping the other small, they want to be celebrated while the other remains in the shadows. But a Stoic knows that true worth is never about comparison, it is about contribution. If you truly value someone, your role is not to limit them, but to give them the space and encouragement to rise. When your loved one grows, you do not see it as a threat, you see it as a victory. Their success does not diminish you, it strengthens the bond you share. Supporting their growth requires humility. It means setting aside your ego, your need to be the one who shines, and instead taking joy in their progress. It means encouraging them when they doubt themselves, reminding them of their strengths when they forget, standing quietly in the background while they step forward into their potential. This does not make you weaker. On the contrary, it proves your strength. Only a secure person can celebrate the victories of another without envy. Only a strong heart can be proud without needing the spotlight. There will be times when your loved one's path challenges you, when their ambition stretches them in directions that demand your patience. In those moments, you show your worth by being supportive, not competitive. You do not hold them back out of fear that they might outgrow you. Instead, you rise with them, you adapt, you grow alongside them. You show that love is not a chain meant to restrict, but a foundation meant to elevate. Your silent encouragement becomes the unseen hand that steadies them, the quiet presence that tells them you don't have to shrink yourself here. You are safe to expand. And in your silence, your strength becomes undeniable. You do not need to remind them of the support you give. You do not need to demand recognition for the ways you encourage them. Stoicism teaches us that virtue is its own reward, and the same is true here. You support because it is right, not because you expect applause. Over time, they will see it, they will feel it, they will remember that when others were silent, you spoke life into them. When others doubted, you believed. When others competed, you supported. By supporting their growth without overshadowing them, you create a bond built on respect, not control. You show them that you are not afraid of their light, that you are not threatened by their strength, that you are secure enough to let them rise without needing to step on their shoulders. And in that kind of love, in that kind of support, your worth becomes unshakable, because you are not just a partner. You are an anchor, a safe ground, and a constant reminder that they are free to become more without ever losing you. When you are consistent when no one is watching, you prove that your character is not an act but a truth. It is easy to look reliable when the spotlight is on you, when eyes are watching, when you know your actions will be noticed. But the real test of a man's worth is how he behaves in silence, in the moments unseen, in the habits that no one applauds. Stoicism teaches us that virtue must be practiced for its own sake, not for recognition, not for approval, not for reward. And consistency in love works the same way. Your loved one does not only measure your worth in the grand gestures or public promises, they measure it in the daily, quiet discipline of being who you say you are. Consistency means that your actions match your words, not just occasionally, but always. It means you do not shift your character depending on your mood, or the setting, or who is around. If you claim to be loyal, then loyalty is not a costume you wear when convenient. It is who you are when temptation whispers. If you claim to be trustworthy, then trustworthiness is not something you display only when they are watching, but something you uphold even in private. If you claim to be disciplined, then discipline shows in the routines you keep when no one else will ever know. This silent consistency builds trust in a way that nothing else can. Think about the opposite what happens when you are inconsistent. Doubt creeps in. Uncertainty grows. Your loved one may not always call it out, but they feel it. They feel when your words and action don't align. They feel when you appear strong in public but collapse in private. They feel when your values are selective, not constant. And this inconsistency erodes trust over time, making your worth questionable in their eyes. But when you are consistent, when you live your values not for show but because they define you, your worth speaks without words. Your loved one begins to relax into your presence because they know you are not unpredictable. They know that the man they see is the same man behind closed doors. They know your loyalty does not vanish in absence. Your strength does not falter in silence. Your word does not weaken in temptation. That steadiness creates safety, and safety is the soil in which love grows deep roots. The world is full of people who are loud in their declarations but empty in their follow-through. Consistency separates you from them. It makes you rare, dependable, undeniable. You may not always be celebrated for it, but over time, your loved one will see the difference. They will see that you are not swayed by convenience or circumstance, that your character is not a performance but a discipline. And in that silent reliability, in that steady repetition of being true when no one sees, your worth becomes unquestionable because you have proven that your love is not a vain moment, it is a way of life. When you listen more than you speak, you show a depth of strength and love that few ever master. Most people listen only to respond, not to understand. They wait for their turn to speak, to make their point, to defend themselves, to be heard. But Stoicism teaches us the value of restraint, of silence, of observing before acting. And in love, listening becomes one of the greatest silent actions you can offer. Because when you truly listen, without interrupting, without rushing, without judgment, you are telling your loved one, your voice matters, your thoughts matter, your feelings matter. That kind of validation cannot be bought with gifts or grand speeches. It is felt in the quiet space you create for them to express themselves freely. Listening requires discipline. It means putting your pride aside, resisting the urge to dominate the conversation, resisting the instinct to always have an answer. It means entering the moment with humility, acknowledging that you do not know everything, that you do not always have to fix everything, that sometimes your presence is more valuable than your opinion. This restraint shows strength because only a strong man can sit silently and allow another person to take center stage. Only a secure man can resist the urge to win every argument, to have the last word, to assert his dominance through speech. Listening shows that you are not threatened by another voice. It shows that you honor it. There is a quiet power in simply nodding, maintaining eye contact, letting them finish without cutting in, letting them know you are not just hearing the words but absorbing them. Over time, this creates trust. Your loved one begins to feel safe sharing their thoughts with you because they know you will not dismiss them, you will not belittle them, you will not rush them. And this safety is the foundation of intimacy. It makes them feel seen, valued, respected. But listening also reveals your wisdom. A man who speaks constantly may impress for a moment, but a man who listens learns. He learns the small details, the unspoken concerns, the subtle needs. He notices what others miss. He sees patterns in words, emotions hidden between sentences, truths revealed not by what is said, but by how it is said. This awareness allows you to respond with precision, with empathy, with strength. Instead of reacting blindly, you act with clarity because you took the time to understand. Listening more than you speak does not make you silent forever. It makes your words sharper, more meaningful, more respected when you do choose to speak. Because when you talk less, your words carry weight. They are not lost in noise, they are felt like anchors. And your loved one will know that when you do speak, it comes from a place of thought, of care, of intention. In this way, your worth is not proven by the volume of your voice, but by the depth of your silence. And in that silence, your love becomes undeniable, your strength unquestionable, your presence unforgettable.